Okay, we are live. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Garinago Settlement Day Eve here at Heritage Education Network. Today on our panel, we have Mr. Clayton Williams, who is a profound Parandero musician. And we also have one of our volunteers at Heritage Education Network Belize, Rashid Palacio. I guess I'll just let the viewers join us before I introduce you, Mr. Williams. But just a little bit about Heritage Education Network Belize for some of our new viewers. We are a new NGO that is prepared to safeguard all things heritage in Belize. Hi, Sylvia. Sylvia is one of our other co-directors. She's here watching us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Sylvia. Just waiting for a few more viewers to get on, and then I'll begin. Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca is also another co-director from Heritage Education Network. The whole family is here tonight. We usually do these live streams on Friday, but it's a big Wednesday, so I think everyone is going to be joining us tonight, hopefully. Tomorrow the holiday, so I feel like everyone should be joining. Yes. But there are a lot of events. Hi, Ella. Ella is also another co-director. So now that the whole gang is here, Heritage Education Network Belize is founded by 4 archaeologists, 4 women in the archaeological field. And we are, like I mentioned before, an organization that is catered to safeguard all things heritage, both tangible and intangible. We started this organization during the midst of a pandemic, which is, odd for most people, but we've been successful in getting the word out there and trying to safeguard small businesses during this time, especially small businesses that cater and get their business from tourism. And since that market has dropped drastically in Belize in the past 8 months, we have been trying our best to market and talk a lot about heritage, talk a lot about where we're going as a country in terms of safeguarding culture. So a little bit about Heritage Education Network in a nutshell. So I'll just get started for those of us that are already here. I think we have a good amount of viewership. So a little bit about this month. We are launching our Garifuna project, and we wanted to begin our first panel with Mr. Clayton Williams, who is, like I mentioned before, a profound Garinago musician, Parandero. A little bit about him. He's a musician, singer, songwriter, percussionist, and guitarist. You are now currently 28 years old, and you are the new voice of Garifuna music as the youngest Parandero. You are a member of the millennial generation. You represent the present and future of Garifuna music, your words, I imagine. And your goal is to preserve the Garifuna culture, unique language, and extraordinary sound while moving Garifuna music forward. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Clayton.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Rashid, let's get started. I'll leave it to you. Take it away.
Okay, well, good night, everyone. First off, I'd like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Clayton Williams again for being here and being willing to share his time with us this November 19th Eve. A lot of different things are happening tonight, but thank you, the viewers, for sharing your night with us. This is a very particularly interesting live because we will get to talk about Garifuna music with a musician and then talk about the significance of different instruments, different things that go into creating Garifuna music, the history of Garifuna music, and also where we see Garifuna music going in the future with new technology influencing the way how people make instruments, the way how people create compositions, and the way how people overall create. You know, we long gone are days where someone like Nabi would be in the Dabuyoba creating hits and formulating different ideas for CDs. Now, a lot of people are in studios. They have drum kits instead of actual drums. So I think, Clayton, the first thing we should do is talk a little bit about Garifuna music and then the different instruments that you have with you and then the significance of those instruments.
Okay, so I would like to say good night to everybody, wherever you guys at. So I will start with the music I play is Garifuna Paranda music. I am one of the youngest paranderos, like she said, and probably in the world, probably, because most paranderos are quite older than me, no. A parandero simply means a Garifuna artist singing paranda music and also plays a guitar. So a lot of people have it that a parandero can just be singing a song, but a parandero is actually a person singing songs with a guitar, no? Yeah, so that's the first instrument. I learned how to play a guitar a couple of years ago. I would say probably 7 years ago in Hopkins, Belize. After though playing a Garifuna drum, which is I'm a master at Garifuna drumming. I played the primero, the segundo. I played the maracas. I even played the turtle shell and every different percussion instruments. No, yeah. So the music for me that's the heart of Garifuna music, especially Paranda music is solely the guitars and the drums and the percussion instruments. But like we spoke about before, now that there's a different artists are now taking the music and adding other electronic instruments into it. Paranderos before me, years ago, our ancestors, it used to be the man playing the guitar and the drummers behind him without nobody plug in, no instrument, nothing plugged in. It's just raw music. So yeah, I play the guitar. And also here with me, I have a primero, which is the lead drum. This is the primero drum. These are the first. So this one go real fast. This is the one. This is the leader right here. And the second to that, which is the second, which give the bass. This is the segunda. So this is the first instrument that I ever played, the bass drum, before I got into the leader drum. Because, you have to creep before you walk, like what they say. So that was my first instrument that I ever played, is the bass drum, the segunda. And also, I have with me the maracas also. The shaka, as people would know it as shaka back home. So yeah, I guess that answered the question, no?
I think in addition to that, we should talk about the spaces that Paranda music used to exist in before it may reach a recording studio.
Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit about that?
So as I could only speak about, what I know and what I've learned from my elders, no?
Of course.
The music, as we speak, Garifuna music has always been with the people. Garifuna, the music is something that the people brought with them. That's what we ended up in different countries, like in Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, Nicaragua. That was one thing, just like we brought the food, the clothing, the language, they also brought the music with them. No, and that was the soul of it, which is the drums actually, the real, authentic Garifuna drumming. That's what they brought with them. Where they come to Paranda is when they got to Honduras. They got influenced by mariachi, and it's a Hispanic country, so they play different music. Also, the guitar is a big part of like mariachi and that kind of music. So that's where they learn, to add the guitars to the music, to the drum beat, and it actually became Paranda music. So with that, the Garinagu from the ones that left from Honduras and went to Belize, they kept that going also.
I think another interesting thing we should mention is that Paranda is very different from other genres of Garifuna music because for me, it's always been done in a reflective tone. When you listen to the words of the song and what they're conveying, and even the rhythm, it's a bit slower than other Garifuna genres of music, like Punta, for example. It has a very fast tempo. There's a cheekiness to Punta, which a lot of people like. And then, like, even when you hear, yeah, and even when you think about other not as popular Garifuna genres of music like Hugu Hugu, you only see those around special time like the 19th for the drumming competition that happens every year. Battle of the Drums.
Battle of the Drums.
Okay, probably.
So definitely. So could you show us like one of your songs right now on the guitar?
All right, no.
Start there, and then you could tell us like the meaning of the song and what made you make the song and the significance and those type of things.
Okay, no problem. This song I'm about to play is called Bibagari. Bibagari means your life. Bibagari, your life.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
What inspired you to make that song? Like, let's start then we'll work our way through the rest.
So Bibagari means, it means your life.
Yeah,
Inspiration for this song was actually in my community, Hopkins, no, where not even my community, it's just all around the world also. Bibagari means, like I said, your life, which is speaking to young females that want to go through life the fast way, and they're not trying to listen. So in this song, I'm talking about a female that didn't listen, and at the end, stuff happened that she became sorry. Oh, I should have listened to my parents. You didn't want to listen to them.
yeah,
So it speaks to a lot of young people. Like I see in my community, I could see a lot of young people. At a young age, they get pregnant, especially the females. They get pregnant, they just go astray, without no guidance or nothing. So this was just speaking to the young people, like, you gotta listen, take the advice of your parents, advice of the elders, and just for them to lead in the right path in life. The Bible.
Um, in your biography, you mentioned safeguarding Garifuna language through music, and one of the key things that you also mentioned while discussing the evolution of Paranda in Belize came from influence of migrating from one country to the other. Would you say the same for language and how that inspires you to write your music?
Yeah, so just like the music and the food and everything, the language also come, no? So for me, it's very important that I help preserve the language, the music, the culture. Because in these days, it's hard to get young people to really be involved in stuff like this, like like what we do, no? So in my community, it's also our we take it we take it very serious that we teach the younger kids. Because I grew up playing drums at the drumming school. So growing up, once I learned and mastered drumming, now my job is to teach the younger generation, no? So we teach a lot of kids, first thing is discipline. You gotta speak your language. Uh, learn your music, learn everything that got to do with Garifuna. And
When we were going to school, it was always the Garifuna safeguard your culture. Primary school, high school, the Dangrega is the culture capital because the Garifuna safeguard that culture. That was when I was younger,
yeah,
and now growing up, it's less visible. I think with the younger generations growing up, but I still see the same uh, schools, going the language school, the Golisa school, you have the drumming schools, all of these places and these institutions are still going strong. So what then, if I could ask you, based on observation and personal experience, what do you think the problem is then?
um, I would speak. The problem would be why why stuff kind of shift, no? Um,
Mm-hmm.
as as we know, this is a new generation. This is the generation of social media. This is the generation of TVs, telephone. Growing up, I never had a telephone until I probably started going to high school. That's when telephones started to be like a thing in Belize. Like, okay, no,
yeah,
every switch, no. So before that, like stories I learned from my mom and my parents, they never had nothing like that. They never even had a TV in a home, So everything was okay. They live by, you wake up, you're going to farm. While you're going to sea, you're going to go fishing. You know, the fathers go to fishing while the mom take the kids. They go into the farm to get food. So along that way, everything started to change. Like, you know, in my community, when I probably 10 years, 20 years now, that's when we start to see tourism. That's when we start to see investors come in the community. Okay, these people come, they buy the land. All of a sudden, we see huge resorts. So all that changed. Now our people stop farming. Now they work for the resorts. Now they work, you know. So everything started to switch. Then you start to learn. We watch TV. We dey watch BET. We dey watch everything. No, we want dress like that. No, we don't. You know, like, so it all changed. So that leads young people astray. You know. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's
Like
not the biggest factor of it, that why it changed like drastically like that. And I would say within like 20 years.
even shorter because like for me, I grew up in Bangladesh, but the one thing I could say is that they used to have a creative arts program when I was in primary school at my primary school, and one of the classes you can take was drumming.
Yeah.
You could take Garifuna drumming. Joshua Rana used to be a teacher, and you had different people who would take up that. So you had different people from outside of the Garifuna culture learning how to play Primera and Segundo. In addition to that, you do see small, like what April mentioned, you do see small initiatives here and there, but it's a lack of consistency as well as a lack of interest due to outside influences.
Yep.
Because everyone knows the latest cartel songs, regardless of the fact he might be in jail or not,
Yep.
versus the latest Garifuna song.
Exactly.
So that's definitely something that affects us. It is our responsibility because we are the future of the culture. So definitely. In addition,
I kind of wanted to add a little bit on what Rashid said. I think that it stems from it's not just the Garifuna people anymore. It's the entire country's responsibility to safeguard that little bit of heritage that you guys have,
Yeah.
and
I,
teach
I
it
think
to
the
the
next
rest
thing
of the
would be that.
population. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it's the way how we managed to growth because for a long time Garifuna communities were somewhat isolated and depended on the community to make things happen. Talking to people, they always mention going to farms. So it was a
Yeah.
community effort to go to the farm to work, reap the benefits, and then that brought the community together. But when um, urban spaces developed and became a thing, instead of focusing on the community, it then became a matter of the individual, which is
Yeah.
a part of westernization. So it's combating that and finding new ways to get people to be more community oriented.
Especially
You
in
know.
this pandemic.
Well, now you definitely see people
Mhm.
making effort to have discussions like the one we're having.
Well,
More people want to connect more on live platforms. So it gives a new space for people to do more. It's just a matter of how long are they going to continue doing stuff like this when the
mhm.
pandemic ends.
Well, it's never gonna end, not really. But what I wanted to piggyback off of what you said, that Garifuna communities were always isolated. Remember, if we're gonna go into a little bit of that history, remember that wasn't by choice.
Yeah,
That was a initiative of the government at the time. So, can you imagine a community now if they were urbanized into that industrialized era, where they were allowed then to mingle with that community in Belize City? So the idea of isolation, I know, and I mean, I think that other indigenous communities would agree that the isolation did allow them to preserve what was theirs and what was theirs alone. How can you preserve what is yours now that you are assimilated into a new society?
yeah,
How can you do that? And I think that comes into my question that I've been wanting to ask, but this is about music, but I wanted to ask about your book, Paranda Boy. what inspired you to write this book, and how does it's a great tool for safeguarding Garifuna heritage. I wanted to buy it to learn to speak Garifuna,
Yeah.
So what inspired you to write this book? I'm very, very interested in that.
So the book Paranda Boy. Um. So me and my wife. We she came up with this idea like, okay, you're already an artist, and the like the like there's something interesting that we could put and to tell a story, and bring it like the way I started in music, the way so Paranda Boy, he is a little boy from Hopkins. Um, I always had a dream. He wanted to play Garifuna music. With all the obstacles on the way, he had a magic guitar. One of his uncle gave him a guitar, which was a magic guitar that took him to different places. And sometimes it didn't work. And for Paranda Boy, he went to school telling his classmates, okay, try this, close on the eye, and uno go in a different place playing this guitar, no? So at one point it didn't work. And they were like, this never work. And he got frustrated, as just like we would put in real life, like you have a dream and you go for it, and sometimes you face certain obstacle. Something happened that you might want to give up. No, he went back to his uncle. His uncle tell him, did you do what I said? Did you close your eyes? And did you close your eyes before you play this guitar? So when he got back to school, no, and he do it, and he tell everybody closing their eyes. All of a sudden, no, they all went to different places, no. It just tell a story that being young and having a dream, it just show that every kid could achieve something in a life, no? And it's very cultural, you know? So in life, just like anybody, just the same way I came up, like actually somebody gave me my first guitar to play. I had no idea how to play a guitar. One of my friends actually gave me a guitar, and like he believed in me. So it's a story of believing in themselves. No matter who you are, no matter what your culture is, your race, we need to inspire the younger generation to become something.
Did you when you and your wife began to write it, was it initially in Garifuna, or?
So the book is in three languages actually:
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Garifuna, Spanish, and English.
mm-hmm.
Because we try to target as much Garifuna students, which are Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, Nicaragua, and those different countries, the first language is Spanish. So, and also in Belize, we have a lot of people who speak Spanish as well. So, the book is made for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that. Well, I guess my question was if you wrote it in Garifuna first and then you translated it
Yeah.
into the other
We
languages.
wrote we wrote in English. As
Okay.
we know, Garifuna language can have to translate. Me myself, I'm still learning how to translate. Every word, even
Yeah.
language, because I could say this: the different countries, we have a slight little difference when it comes to even the language, due to the influence of people from Honduras and Guatemala. They have an influence of Spanish in the language, and for us Belizean, we have an influence in Creole. So our Creole or English, so we add a little bit of Creole in the Garifuna, where they add a little bit of Spanish in their Garifuna. So
Yeah.
And if
certain things what we said, some of they won't, certain words they won't understand because they will say it in Spanish, and we would
Mm-hmm.
probably say it in a Creole or English.
Yeah.
So we had
yeah,
to find a balance. No, the guy
Mm-hmm.
who translated,
yeah,
he's a Honduran, so he helped us translate the whole book in Spanish and Garifuna.
yeah,
That's really
definitely.
cool.
Because one thing that when you look at Garifuna too is that it is very regional, even in Belize, because someone who talk Garifuna from Barranco talk slightly different from the person who that have
Yes.
kids.
Yeah, yeah.
The person that have Libertad versus
Different too.
yes. So and the next thing too is that we are still coming to an age where the language has yet to be accepted, like a standardized dictionary to be accepted,
Yeah.
because the spelling too definitely is another element.
Yo, that too. I have some music and the translation. Some people come up to me and like, I didn't know that's how to say that. A simple word as ceremony.
Yeah,
People say, oh, you have an N at the N word from the end with ceremony. So some people would have said ceremony with and just end with the I, no?
Yeah.
But in a dictionary, the most way to say it is ceremony. No?
yeah,
So just stuff like that. I get a lot of that. Even people ask me, yo, that translation are wrong, but I go back and say, okay, this is where I get my info. This is my source of getting my translation and everything, no?
yeah. Especially
Just
because
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, because when you even look on some Garifuna is not something where you could translate word for word. You have to have a deep understanding of the language
Yeah,
and understanding a context of the way how they use the language to get certain things across. So
yeah,
even when it comes to translating something like a book, you have to definitely take into consideration a lot of different things.
exactly.
And the person saying it, because the way how the person speak will definitely influence, like the age of the person will
Uh-huh.
definitely influence the way like certain words what they use, because the language is still changing over time. Culture is dynamic.
Because even as Paranda Boy book, we were speaking as a young kid, no? So
Yeah,
like that was very important. So in a translation, you read it as like let's say a young kid is speaking, then like
Yeah.
that.
yeah. What kid can't say certain words or adult could say,
Yeah, yeah.
especially in
certain,
that guy for that.
certain thing, if a kid say to an older person, it will be disrespectful. No certain
Of
words.
course,
I
Yes.
as
can't
well
tell
as there's a
friends.
gender attached to it too, masculine
Yep.
and feminine. So boy can't say certain thing, a girl can't say certain thing. That's something a lot of people don't know about with language.
Is
Okay.
there a philosophical context? Because I see in the comments, Josh put that context is always important
Of
when you're
course,
just when you're talking about language. Yeah.
of course.
And speaking of him, he did a presentation on the how drumming made him a feminist,
Yeah.
That's
and
correct.
he he stresses context of philosophical context of that language and how
Yeah.
that expression leads into how he would sing a song or how he would beat a drum, and that changes the entire rhythm of the entire situation that is happening in his performance. And I imagine that's the same for you with
Yeah.
Paranda.
Yes.
You had mentioned turtle shells. Is that Garifuna or is that Creole inspired? And that is just for somebody that does not know. I'm
Um, for me, the way I learned it, turtle shell was some as we see Pen Cayetano and the turtle shell band. These guys been using the turtle shell, no? So for me, our teacher Jabbar at the drumming center, that was one of his favorite instruments. So I picked that up by watching him play the turtle shell. So that's something that I came up from young. We playing together. He's always and he's a funny man. So that instrument was very interesting to me. Just seeing him play it, and you know, it's fun.
How does one play a turtle shell?
You
You
use
tune it first,
yeah.
and then you.
I tune it, but I still don't know how you tune my turtle shell.
I don't know that, bro. So no worry.
Yeah, but he used the two sticks, and he could have three or four turtle shell, and he just going with it.
I think the
Do
next
you
thing we
use
should
the
jump into would be the drum, the way how they make the drum and the significance of the different parts of the drum. Because growing up, I always hear that you need to use a certain particular type of skin
Yeah.
because that influence the way how the event will go based on the type of skin you use for drum with. Which is why you never use tiger skin or
Yeah.
jaguar skin when you're going to beat our big concert. Unless you want riot.
Yeah. So the drums that we play with is usually have either the deer skin
Yeah.
or a skin, no?
Mm-hmm.
To me, the sheep skin, for me as a drummer playing it, give more higher tone, the sheep, rather than the deer skin, more, lower tone. So the both of them for me, those are the skin that we use, no? Maybe some other drummers use different stuff.
The drums that you're going to use right now, do they have skin?
Yeah, their skin.
Okay. Okay. Would you like to give us a demonstration, please?
No problem. So our play, this is the segundo. I'm gonna play a hungo hungo beat. That was the segundo. I also have a primero that I could play a beat on the primero. Yeah. And
Awesome.
also we got the maracas. Playing drums, we can't miss the maracas. We need the maracas, you know? Probably the most common instrument, but it means a lot when you blend it with the drums. We, as drummers, we need the maracas to accompany us, no? Maraca. Ah, yeah. So those are the instruments that I have with me today to display to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You mentioned the maracas and the primero and the segundo. Those drums that you take with you, you take those on tour. They were made here in Belize?
Yeah, these drums were made in Belize. I know
Awesome.
a lot of people ship the drums now that we could get them now in the US. You know, life become easier, but they got a drum now at the house.
That's very true. Mr. Josh said people would not know, but Mr. C. Wills is one of the best Garifuna drummers. So they
Yeah,
big you up.
Josh, that my cousin, and he always tell me, fam, you got something going. So from young, that's one of the guys that I actually started playing with, and from the drumming school, my next cousin Warren, like, we used to have a wicked squad. We went to the Battle of the Drums. That's how we become champions at the Battle of the Drums, no? And like I said, that's how we started. This is what got me up to know the drums, and up to now I keep my drum. I'm very serious about my drums. I don't play when it comes to my drums. And
The
anybody,
song,
any band, any artist, when they need drumming, I ready. If they don't got drummer, and even if I perform for an event, and they be like, "Oh, no drummer," I will jump at the drums because that's my heart. That's where my heart is. Drums. That's my favorite instrument.
you sound like Paul Nabor. When I first met him, he said that his first love is his guitar,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
his wife understands.
yeah,
So I would imagine that's the same for somebody like you with your
yeah.
instruments.
To get that,
Um,
I'm gonna play it every day.
do you have another song for us?
Okay, no problem. I just have a drink while you water, no? Yeah. Um, this next song is called Lera Sagarifuna. Ayugura gayo wasaru widi oja. Itania me wabangani ailube wigi wasu widi oja. Widi arabo wida lusuweyo Irahu ya Nubido wabangani Oh, manufuratina novula. Ara sagarina go, manufuratina novula. Ara sagarifuna, manufuratina novula. Ara sagarina go, manufuratina novula. Mama guameti no lunini, ago barana. Italia me wabagani, ang ilube bago, kasuba chubolido, paranda, tunalida giwelo, weya me tineweyo, omula pango, nubido wabagani, asasi nube, ahigarate, oh, manufunatina tubura. Ara sagarina manufunetina novuna. Ira sagarifuna manufunetina novuna. Ara sagarina manufunetina novuna. Ira sagarifuna. I'm saying I'm not afraid to teach the Garifuna culture. I'm not afraid to talk about the Garifuna language, the culture, the people. The song basically saying is speaking about the past, the way our ancestors used to live. Tayugura hagayo means early in the morning when the chicken crow early in the morning. You know what that used to wake you. Wasaru with the ocha. They used to be up to go fishing. Italia me wabagari ahinubi wigi. So that used to be our life. If we gotta eat, we gotta go to the farm. We gotta go fishing. Masuidi ocha, widi arabo, lida lusuweyo. Even if the sun hot, lida huya. Even if it's raining, we still gotta go out. We gotta eat today. Lubidu wabagari. But that was still a beautiful life. I wouldn't change it. Oh, mano for the thing and no for the honey. Arasa Garinago. I'm not afraid to show the Garifuna culture. Yeah.
Amazing. Rashid?
Okay, I found the mute button. All right. My question now is that throughout this discussion, we've seen the significance of the instruments. So, what do you think about the inclusion of electronic instruments like a drum machine and stuff like that in Paranda music? Can that still be considered Paranda music with stuff like that being a part of it?
Well, for the most part, they already consider certain music like that. You know, it also included now as like I said, some musicians call their music that's paranda. You know? But as I was speaking when we started, the main instruments in paranda music is the drums and the guitar, no?
Mm-hmm.
But as we go along, different producers, you know, they add keyboards, they add bass guitar, all that kind of stuff, which is, you know, it's a new, as we go along, new generation, new things coming up. So for me, I still want to keep my music as as cultural as raw as I could, but
As authentic.
with that kind of influence, I have I have no other choice, no, because that's what a lot of people. Okay, this is what we like. No, this is what we love.
Yeah.
So for me, I still have certain songs which has so many other instruments in it, no? But I try to still keep one for me the lyrics is very important and the language. I always keep my language 100% Garifuna. And that's something I will never change. And for me, my song, the drums are very important for me in my music. So that's the first thing I want to hear. I usually tell every producer, if you're gonna produce a song for me, and I will play my own drums. I will play my own guitars in my music. So that's very important to me. That's something I will never leave away.
Um, so I have a question for you that comes from one of our uh, viewers. So it's a long one, and I'm not going to put it on the screen because it's going to cover our entire screen. But Rebecca Friedel says, Mr. Clayton, you mentioned how large tourism resorts coming to your community has impacted younger generations' interest and investment in maintaining cultural traditions. One of our main goals here at Heritage Education is to encourage tourism that also safeguard culture.
Yeah.
So, how do you think Garifuna culture could be better incorporated into tourism efforts to make a more sustainable situation overall? Have you seen any of these larger resorts express interest in Garifuna or local culture?
Okay. Can I have one moment? Just 1 second. Quick.
Of course. So I'm going to put it here on the screen for our audience to see. Yes. So it completely comes up. What do you think, Rashid?
We have now lost Clayton to the question of
Yes, we have not.
that's what I think. I think that when it comes to tourism, there there are ways to go about incorporating and showcasing culture that is not destructive, because you have to think about the spaces it originated in, and when you're transporting certain elements to another space, the meaning could change. The way how everything is done could definitely change, and that can definitely be problematic. It's like years ago, I don't know if Clayton remember when you had a Norwegian cruise line who wanted the Managua go on board and jump Jankono all year round. So when you hear stuff like that, that shows a complete disregard or lack of understanding of the significance of that tradition for us as a people. And we have to not forget about those type of things, because yes, we want to incorporate tourism into our society, but we also have to be able to understand what are constructive ways of doing that without it becoming, without losing the significance of the different things that we do.
Yeah. So
Um,
for me to add, no, there's, as I spoke about earlier, the huge resorts coming into the community. I would say one thing positive about that is that some of the resorts, I would say some, not all, some of them still include, the community and the culture in it, no, whereby they have certain tours that include the community and that teach the tourists, the culture, the language. As for us at the drumming school, some of the resorts, we have a connection with them that they send their tourists to us to learn how to play Garifuna drums and to learn the language. We have a program that we get to cook the food. They get to experience that at our drumming school and get to experience the music part of it. So that is one thing that I say that is great about having the huge resorts. But for the most part, some of them they try to get, okay, we are booked 2 drummers and take it to the resort and be like, okay, this is Garifuna culture, which is, that part is wrong for me. Like, you can't come and shortchange our culture. Like, this is what you trying to hook your tourists to stay at your resort, whereby they're spending all the money at your resort, and you forget the real reason some of these people come. They know about the culture, the community. So for me, I always push to them because I'm one of the guys who usually be performing in the resorts, and I push to the guests and the tourists that there's a lot to see in the community also, not just here at your resort where you sit on a fancy beach, in a fancy hotel. Really, they haven't seen the cultural aspect of the community. So for some, I give them the prop of having a tour inside the community, but for the ones that just want to bring, okay, well, I said 2 drummers and 1 dancer, because remember they done this, they already shortchanged just by just doing that, rather than bring the whole thing. Because for us, we would usually bring 4 dancers, 5 drummers, 4 drummers, but the resort would be like, we can't afford that. But for the groups, they mostly don't have a choice. There was, the community, people want to make a little money. That's their living. That's their survival, no? So they will be like, okay, let me cut it short. I'm gonna take 2 drummers, 1 dancer. But we're not even showing the whole thing. For me, it would better for them to just come to the community to see that. Because every day we have cultural performances. You could go to a restaurant for a Friday night, you will meet a whole group of dancers and drummers playing. You could come to the drumming school as early as 9 a.m. until later on at the night, and we still there. We willing to teach. We willing to. So
one of the things that I noticed, because I am a local tourist. I love traveling in Belize, and Hopkins is one of my most favorite places in Belize. And I think that it has a good fusion of community tourism.
mhm.
You walk around and you see more tourists in the community than at the actual resort, which I think shows the progress that you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I don't see that a lot in places like Barranco, places like Saint Bite, that they are also, fused with all of this Garifuna culture. So for communities like those, what would you say that they would have to do in order to maybe incorporate that tourism into their community? Just like how it worked for Hopkins,
yeah,
it could work for a place like Barranco. And I bring up Barranco because we had just done a nice blog about the Barranco House of Culture, and it's
yeah.
beautiful, and it has all of these intricate histories about the community itself, but it's a tucked away place that not even local Belizeans know about. So how can you bring a vibrant tourism community into a place like Barranco and Saint Bite?
So for me, it would start as simple to say as everything. No, like marketing. No, like that's very important. No, that's a start to everything. Like, how can people that don't know about that, how people who don't know about Barranco, how can they get to know about it? Like, so to me, it also starts with the people itself. It's just like Siembite is a rich Garifuna community. We have people in Siembite that are very cultural, like young people into the drumming, into the music, into the culture, into the Wanagua dance. But we have Placencia right there, which is a couple miles away. But how can you get these people to come to Siembite, no? Rather than same thing what they do in Placencia. I visit Placencia a lot. And you will see like what two drummers, sometimes they even just playing on the roadside, you know, collecting tips or you know. So for me is also some of these people they also advertise the culture and so on, no? So for them, for the business community is also important, like to bring in these people or work with the people. So for like a Barranco, I would say we gotta market that in a way that we could build a tour just for Barranco, even if it's local tourists or international tourists, no? Yeah, so that's what
I think the thing with Barranco too is the lack of access,
that too.
because the roads to get to Barranco is
Yeah.
not the best road. And even if you think about boat charters,
Yeah.
and that's something that has to be discussed with the village council as well as other NGOs to make that happen. Because
Yeah.
Barranco is a fairly small community, but it's very rich with its history. Has a lot of older
Yeah.
people. You have Dr. Joseph Palacio, who's in Barranco. You have you have a lot of different things that Barranco could offer, but
So
it's a lack of access, and it's to change that. Hopefully, in the near future, that's something
yeah.
that could change.
So
Yes, because Livingston does it. And to get to a place like Livingston, you have to charter a
yeah,
boat.
yeah.
You have to be able to have that community
So
engagement,
Yeah,
right?
I would add as something like this where I mean like we gotta market it in a certain way because even though like you said, Barranco is very far. So for the same thing you spoke about Harvest Key, I was one of the drummers that we was playing on Harvest Key, even until the island closed. My guys were still playing down there. And we see the boats, we see the tours that they built. Most of the tours were like, okay, they went a Spice Farm, not PG. Spice Farm is very far too. It's just like driving to Spice Farm, you could drive to Barranco. You know? They had tours going different places, but I never saw none of these tours going to a Garifuna community, which was one thing I was like, damn, I'm seeing like hundreds of tourists going to Placencia just to sit on a beach, whereby they could do the same thing at Harvest Key. So how can we package the culture and package this thing that we could bring these people to us? Because they could even reach to Hopkins from Mango Creek, because the dock is in Mango Creek, no? It's only like 35, 40 minutes to get that, like Hopkins or even to get to CM which is really, it's not far for these people. They have so
yeah,
many buses that go in. At least for the day, we see like 20 buses going to the Maya ruins, going to different tours. The same way we could put a package together for these people to come to our communities, no? And see what Garifuna people have to offer.
of course.
Yeah,
Definitely. I always think that the Garinago communities are 100% willing to share
yeah,
that culture and to bring that other communities into their world and to have this wonderful invitation for us to come in. And I don't see that a lot in other indigenous communities. I think that the Garifuna communities are special in that case
yeah,
because for example the museum that I was talking about. We asked Mrs. Alberita, the coordinator of it, to give us a little bit of information, just so that we could have something to write about. And she sent us everything, everything, all the pictures. It was just loaded with all of this information. And I thought to myself, how can we write something small about this? and I think that willingness to share with the Belizean population is there. It just, I think the entire Belizean community has to be willing to accept it and to push for that information to be shared amongst everybody. We have another question here from Ella. Hi, Ella. Do you think Garifuna music can bring people, Belizeans and tourists alike, closer to Garifuna culture or the awareness of Garifuna culture?
Well, it is happening, as that's what, like, people like me, that's what we are doing. People like the late great Andy Palacio, like the Garifuna Collective, like people like Aurelio Martinez. This is one of their mission, no, for to bring Garifuna culture, to go out in the world, teach about the culture and bring more people come to Belize. Like for me, just as a musician and a drummer, I've done so many TV shows, travel channels, CNN, sci-fi. All these shows that we have done is all a part of showing the culture to the world and what we have to offer. So up to now, I'm still out here doing my best to show my culture, show my language to the world, and teach about my country, my community, which is very important to me.
Rashid?
I have so what really happened with you and sci-fi now? They got a Hopkins to try do a UFO thing, or I just need to know.
Yeah, we have they put us a part of the show, what they call some show about the tattered one there, which was something way out where they said the tattered one there was
okay.
So we are.
What is this show?
Yeah, it's on sci-fi. All right.
Well,
we
relax. I never know it's so big.
And they ask me questions, but if we believe that, so it was like the show was just okay. They make it look like everybody the city started when they're like, it's sci-fi. So
okay.
But yeah, that was that part that we made it on sci-fi, huh? And Travel Channel was a couple buying a home around Hopkins, and they actually ended up at the drumming center. It just seemed that they was passing and they heard the drums. Me and my brother was playing, so that's when they came in. Hey, what's up? What's this place? So we started explaining the culture, the language, the drumming school. So it's stuff like that. No, like that's promotion to the culture, promotion.
Honestly, I think that you guys do a fantastic job, and traveling all over the world. The one thing that is always Belizean is Garifuna music.
Yeah.
Everywhere on this planet, like most Belizeans don't even know that.
Yeah.
You can go in the United States. Yes, punta is a thing, and I love punta music, but the Paranda music is global.
So everywhere we go and we say Belize and they say the drums, everybody else, Andy Palacio.
Garifuna Collective.
They hear about Belize from just Andy Palacio and the Garifuna Collective, which were the guys that started this whole mission. So for young guys like me, my mission is to continue stuff like that, go around the world, teach the culture, the language. We still have a lot to learn. As young as I am, I still have a lot to learn. I'm still working on it. Still, trying.
You sound like Josh. Josh says the same. No, because he taught drumming at Galen.
Yeah.
And because Rashid said that you said that you learned from him when you were little, and he taught it in college. And I think he's so special and gifted in his own right, that every time I see he coach somebody for Battle of the Drums, I'd like, you know what? I don't even have to watch because I don't know that person will win because I Josh the coach them. That it's as good as like, okay, tell me who I come second. That's all I need for now.
Yeah.
But it stems to the evolution of Garifuna music. And one of our viewers, Marlon Nunez, wants to know, where do you see Garifuna music in the next 10 years?
And to me, in the next 10 years, we'll be farther than where we are right now. Because not only me, they have a lot of young guys like me doing the same thing. No, we have guys like Lovelace back in Hopkins. We have a group back there. We have, I have a lot of musician friends from Honduras, from Guatemala, amazing drummers, amazing, a lot of guys that's out there using the platforms, teaching the culture, teaching the language, No, everything changed. No, we the online now doing this. We on YouTube, no, we on Spotify, we on Apple Music, all that stuff that we never had the chance to 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 be on there. Now people will just search and they finding our music now. And I've seen in so many cases where people come to Hopkins and they ask for me because they look at YouTube videos, and Hopkins is branded, my video Garifuna Nuguya brand to Hopkins. So everybody like, who's this kid? We're trying to meet him. So many people call at my house and they look for this Garifuna kid, which is me. Like, so I believe the word is out there. We are doing a great job at promoting it, but also we still need the help of the people. And I always stress when I promote my new music and my videos and stuff, we need everybody help. If I post a video and everybody start to share that, the whole world. If you have 1,000 friends on Facebook, Rashid have 1,000. His friends get to see that, your friends get to see that, and everybody friends could be people from all over the world, no? So I stress to my people, it's very important. When you see the musicians or anybody, something like what you guys doing, trying to preserve the culture, like stuff like this need to be shared, that need to be heard. Like, simple as our country. We have a lot of people in our Belize itself. The moment we drop our video, we're supposed to get one. How much people in our Belize? If I could ask, probably now. What's the
400, almost 400,000.
You understand? Out of that, we must forgive 100,000 people for watch for videos. But it's very hard, no? Like,
yeah,
it's the people
community support
do their part as well, no? Like for me, I believe there's just in the United States they have over 100,000 Garifuna, I should say, which is the most that Garifuna people in the United States, more than every other country. So I always stress that everywhere I go, every performance, it's important that we support each other, no?
Honestly, Clayton, we could sit here all night and talk about demystifying Garifuna music.
Yeah.
But I know that you are an hour ahead of us.
Yeah.
And your schedule is tight, but we really appreciate it.
Tonight would have been a big night. We don't know that 18th night.
Oh yeah, no, we never met, yeah.
Last year around this time, I had three performances. I believe me, one at Hopkins, one at Belize City, and then I closed up at Dangwega 6 a.m. in the morning, well, I'm 19th morning. So it's for me this year has been like it's kind of relaxed now because last year every day I had like 3-4 performances. That's even doing events in schools, visiting schools, talking to the kids, talking to the youths, but this year due to the pandemic, man, it really slowed it down.
But I'll give you something positive. When people think the 19th, they think that you have to go south or else and get Garifuna culture. But I realized that if you have Garifuna people in other parts of Belize, you will get that.
I believe it's really.
It is. You know how hard it took me for find Hudud?
Yeah.
For tomorrow? Like that done?
No, it really changed because for 2 years straight, like 2018 and 19, Lyricist Garifuna at Belize City had big concert where I performed. And I was so surprised because every year we went there at Dangwega, all the artists pile up that Dangwega. So when Lyricist started something different, I was like, damn, so much people, like, we kept walking in at the building. So I was like, things really change.
If you bring it to other people in the country,
they bring the culture right there to Belize City. I was so wild, like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
One
damn,
of the houses of culture that promote a lot of our posts is the Corozal House of Culture, and
yeah,
they're very big on giving information, especially like right now around the 19th. So if you bring the culture to other parts of the people that can't come to you
yeah,
in St. Bite or in Hopkins, and
yeah,
you go to them, that the information, that preservation of that culture is appreciated, and that it'll do exactly what you want,
yes,
you
you're right,
know
you're right.
and
Way more fun.
Ella says to tell you that even her dad in Hungary has a Garifuna Collective CD.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, I think I shared it, Rashid. The most amazing experience I ever had was walking into, like, around Prague in Czech Republic, and a random supermarket was playing and the Palacio.
Wow,
A random supermarket. You walk, and you know it because you're hearing it, right? Like, over the crowd of
as
people.
a guy, the movie,
But it was the most astonishing,
yeah,
in the most random of places. So if you could take Garifuna out there with you, you could definitely spread it at home here and make people appreciate it and preserve it.
that's
And with that said, I want to thank you again for being with us.
yo.
And if you don't mind with playing us out, then one last song, please.
Alrighty, this song is called Garifuna Nuguya, which is my number one single, my number one song, I should say. We almost reached 1 million views. If everybody go on YouTube and search Garifuna Nuguya, we have like probably 16 more thousand until we reach 1 million views. So I would appreciate everybody on the live to go check it out after this whole interview. Go put a stream and share it with your friends. Garifuna Nuguya. Oh, Garifuna Oh, hallelujah. Abairande, abairande, bandilone nació, alemona, durabe, achiriginama, abairande, abairande, bandilone nació, alemona. Onde sugarina, Lumaya Gidina, Lumaya Gidina, Garimuna Yanwabe, Nagunu. Oh, Garimunuya. Oh, Garimunuya. Mama Nuguya Terenta, Karinga Nuguya. Karinga Nuguya. I also have a brand new song that's out right now, Aban Wagia. Yaude mule, yaude mule, nanago, yaude mule, nanago, karina go nanigo, karina go nanigo, karina go nanigo, oh.
Thank you so much.
I like to say everybody that's on the live that haven't followed my music, you guys could check me out on Facebook, Clayton Williams Music, like my page.
We will put it in the description for this live.
On you
We got you
you
covered.
guys have YouTube, want to subscribe, Clayton Williams on YouTube, hit the subscribe. Instagram, I am Clayton Williams. Just like forgive me a promo. No?
Go ahead. But that ends our session for tonight. Thank you again, Clayton Williams, so much for being with us. We will
Before we
have
go,
another. Yes. Go ahead, Rashid.
no, well, you did it. I mean, that's the one that I hope that nobody forget. We are having um, another 2 more live sessions over
Mm-hmm.
the course of November. One talking about
Yes.
Garifuna language, posted on the 21st. And then on the 26th, which is 1 week from today, we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about globalization and the Garifuna culture. Where we're talking to
Yes.
talk have a very healthy, long-weighted discussion about where we are as a culture, our
Yes.
history, and where we are see ourselves in the future. So
Awesome.
that's
Yes. Thank
definitely
you so much,
something.
Rashid. Yes, it doesn't end just because the 19th, right? So we will have more discussions for the entire month of November, and we will have more posts on our Heritage Highlight. But I also wanted to give a huge, huge shout out to Josh Arana. Thank you so much for all of your support and all of your advice and guidance for our Garifuna Cultural Project
Big
that
up.
is on our heritagebelize.org website, and you can also see snippets of it on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us, and have a safe and wonderful 19th. And please join us again on the 21st and the 26th. And thank you again, Clayton, so much for being here with us. Good night, everybody, and have a wonderful holiday.
Boy to boy.
Bye.